we're just watching, and this zebra, the stallion, male zebra, this zebra stallion. Hello everybody, so Victoria and I have just got back from a 4-night stay in the Kruger National Park at our favorite camp to date, which is the Shingwedzi camp in the northern parts of the Kruger. We enjoy that area so much because of the alluvial floodplains. It's in the Mopani, but then you get this riverine vegetation along the floodplains. It's just absolutely beautiful. We've been there a couple of times. We also saw 2 male waterbucks having a bit of a fight. And then as we went further north of that, again, we saw lots more zebras before we got to Shingwedzi.
So we found this Waterbuck carcass at the end of our morning drive, and it was complete. It hadn't been eaten, but there were some vultures that were starting to descend. So Gareth and I took our chances. It was quite close to the camp, so we popped back to camp and made breakfast and had breakfast, cleaned up, turned around and came back. And within an hour, our turnaround was quick. Within an hour we got there and the vultures had almost, they had completely opened the carcass and had eaten the majority of it already. And so we couldn't believe how quickly they had got into it and had devoured it. But the sighting took a really strange turn when the vultures started staring in a direction, and we were expecting a hyena or a lion, or if we were lucky, a leopard. But what we saw upon closer inspection is actually a crocodile. So a crocodile had smelt this. We weren't far from the river, and had come up and was feeding on the Waterbuck carcass. And so we had this amazing interaction for the rest of the day, really. We went back and came out again for a 3rd time, and we had this interaction between crocodile and vultures, and the crocodile feeding and the vultures trying to feed. So that was novel for me. I'd never seen.
It was an interesting sighting.
Yeah,
and
never seen a crocodile chasing vultures off a kill.
Yeah, and I think we were expecting there to be more scavenger type activity from the lions of the Shingwedzi area, as well as hyenas that we had heard calling the night before, but none of them came. It was just the vultures and this crocodile that finished off this carcass. The next morning we were just driving around. We left camp early. We were spending time around the bridge that's over the Shingwedzi River when we bumped into a person who was driving relatively slowly around the bridge looking, and we asked what was going on, and they said, last night when you had left to make closing time, just behind you a leopard dragged a carcass across the road and hoisted it in this beautiful big mashatu tree that's next to the bridge. Funny enough, while we were sitting on the bridge, we had heard birds and squirrels alarm calling, but the nature of Kruger, you have to make gate times. So we missed this, but we then saw the carcass in this mashatu tree, and we decided we're going to come back and we're going to wait until this leopard shows up. So we went back to camp, had a quick breakfast, takeaway.
We made a takeaway.
And we sat on the bridge for 2 hours.
We were very lucky.
Yeah.
We were very lucky because there was a perfect view from the Shingwedzi, the bridge that crosses over the Shingwedzi River, into this mashatu tree on the bank. And we scoured the ground with binoculars. We were pretty sure that this leopard was not in the tree because we had checked with binoculars. And now we'd been there 2 hours, a little bit longer maybe. We had a pillow because we forgot our photographic bean bags. So we brought one of our sleeping pillows with, and I was taking a nap. I was reclined, I had my pillow squished up against my face, and the next thing I feel this tap on my leg and Gareth's going, V, she's here. And just beautiful out the canopy of this mashatu tree, this beautiful female leopard. She was really big. We actually thought she was a young male at the beginning, but we checked our footage. And she dropped down, looked around, and the tree had these exquisite branches, and she maneuvered her way to her carcass. And then instead of feeding like we would have expected, she actually lifted it and did this almost like a display, the way she moved and maneuvered herself with the carcass in her mouth. And at one point she nearly fell out the tree. And then with the carcass in her mouth, she went head first down the tree like they normally do, but she'd pushed her back up against, I can't remember what the tree next to it was. Was it an apple leaf?
It was the same
or
tree.
was it the same tree?
Yeah.
She wedged herself so that her back was on one portion of the tree and her paws were on the other, and she maneuvered herself down slowly. And so our sighting was probably 5 minutes long.
Yeah.
Our wait period was about 2 or 3 hours long.
And then we waited another hour hoping that she would come out of the thickets at the base of the tree, but she never did. And that was the last that we actually saw of her.
A few people saw her for the next 24 hours after us, but we were never lucky with our timing.
And then the next day, on our last day, which was our last day at Shingwedzi, we went for a long morning drive, and we came back and sat on the bridge, it's just a beautiful view over the Shingwedzi River. We had seen it subside since the first night when we had got there, and this zebra stallion had come down into the river, and it was almost as if he was like coming to drink, but it was unusual for him to be coming to drink because there's so much water along the landscape, across the landscape. And he came and he sort of sunk next to the river and he moved away, and then he came back and he ended up swimming across the river. And in that time I was like, this is amazing, to Victoria. And she says, yes, yes, yes. And he crossed the river, and then when I looked at her, she was looking with binoculars outside her window for the leopard on the other bank that had been there in the morning that we hadn't seen. So she had been there, watched the zebra sink in the sand, walked away, and then missed this zebra crossing through the Shingwedzi River.
So I missed the sighting, but I maintain that I watched it. I had seen the zebra, of course, come down sinking in the water, and then I was looking for the leopard with binoculars, and then Gareth, when he played the video for me, I could see the video. I could see the river where the video was shot because we were still sitting there, and I had seen the zebra, so I felt like I'd seen the sighting, but I could not believe that in the maybe 15, 20 seconds it had taken me to turn around, scan the horizon for any other activity, the zebra had crossed the river. That's a really special thing to see.
It was pretty special, yeah. And those were, I think, our 3 top sightings from Shingwedzi.
Yeah.
With the rain, game was pretty dispersed. We heard lions. There were lion sightings while we were there.
Wild dogs.
Yeah, and there was a wild dog sighting. And on our way out, we saw a hyena walking towards us down the road. But we didn't expect to see all that much because of the rain and the rivers having been in flood.
But it was wonderful. If you ever want to go to the Northern Kruger or explore and have sightings like this, let us know, because we see the things when we go on the trips.
Yeah, we do.